Aviation emergencies rarely give crews much time. One warning light, one gust of wind, one wrong moment near the ground, and everything can change in seconds. In this video, we look at real incidents caught on camera, what happened, why it happened, and what each case teaches us. July 8th, 2023, Vårgårda, Sweden. A private Antonov An-2 was taking off from a field near Tumberg. There were 5 people on board. After liftoff, the aircraft could not climb high enough. It stayed low and reached the trees at the end of the field. Everyone on board survived without injury. Investigators found no engine failure and no aircraft fault. The cause was takeoff planning. In that direction, the aircraft needed more distance than the field could provide. The key point is basic but critical. Before a short field takeoff, the numbers have to work. Distance, weight, wind, surface, and obstacles all matter. March 22, 2026, LaGuardia Airport, New York. Air Canada Express Flight 8646 was arriving from Montreal on a CRJ 900. At the same time, an airport fire truck was crossing runway 4, responding to a separate emergency. During the landing rollout, the aircraft collided with the truck. The front of the aircraft was destroyed. Both pilots were killed. Dozens of people were injured. The final cause has not been released yet. The NTSB is investigating runway clearance, communication, vehicle movement, and why the aircraft and truck ended up in the same place at the same time. The point is simple. A runway only stays safe when every aircraft, vehicle, and controller has the same clear picture. In this case, that separation failed at the worst possible moment. May 6th, 2025, Pantelleria, Italy. During a Frecce Tricolori aerobatic training flight, several MB339 jets were flying the cardioid maneuver. Then, the formation separated abnormally. The display program was stopped immediately. 3 jets landed at Pantelleria, while the rest of the formation diverted to Trapani. One aircraft later went off the runway after landing because of a nose wheel control problem. The pilot was not injured. The final cause of the formation problem is still under investigation, but the lesson is already clear. In close formation aerobatics, spacing and timing leave almost no room for error. When something does not look right, stopping the routine early can prevent a much worse accident. April 30th, 2025, Ercan Airport, Northern Cyprus. A Turkish Air Force F-4E Phantom was rehearsing for Technofest TRNC. During a low pass, the jet came much closer to the runway than planned. The pilot pulled up and continued the flight. There was no crash, no damage or injuries were reported. The final cause has not been confirmed. This close call shows how small the margin is during display flying. Near the ground, a recovery has to start early. Altitude discipline, rehearsal limits, and a clear pull-up point matter before the aircraft gets too low. May 16th, 2026, Vernal, Utah. A Cirrus SR22T was landing at Vernal Regional Airport after a private flight from Gooding, Idaho. 2 people were on board. The weather was visual, but the wind was strong and gusty, with gusts reported up to 25 knots. Near the runway, a strong gust pushed the aircraft off its landing path. The airplane was badly damaged. But there was no fire, no explosion, and both people on board walked away without injuries. The key factor here was wind. Close to the ground, a sudden gust can take away the landing margin almost instantly. June 14th, 2024, Ponta Grossa, Brazil. A vintage Waco biplane was landing at Ponta Grossa Airport before a local aviation event. Just after touchdown, a strong gust was reported. The tail lifted, the nose dropped, and the aircraft overturned on the runway. The biplane was damaged. The pilot was not injured. There was no fire, and no one on the ground was hurt. No final investigation report has been found, so the exact cause should not be overstated. But the risk is clear. Light tailwheel aircraft can be very sensitive to gusts during landing. Close to the ground, a sudden wind change can leave almost no time to correct. January 27th, 2026, Nabire, Central Papua, Indonesia. A smart Air Cessna Grand Caravan had just taken off from Nabire Airport, heading to Kaimana. There were 13 people on board. Shortly after departure, the crew reported a loss of engine power. They tried to return, but the aircraft could not hold altitude. With very little time left, the crew brought it down near the shoreline, in shallow coastal water. The aircraft stayed afloat long enough for everyone to escape. All 13 people survived. The final technical cause still has to be confirmed by investigators, but the key point is simple. An engine problem just after takeoff leaves very little time. The crew's priority is to keep control and choose the safest reachable place before altitude runs out. February 11th, 2025, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. A GOL Boeing 737 MAX 8 was taking off from GOL Airport, heading for Fortaleza. It was night, and a runway lighting maintenance vehicle was still on runway 10. During the takeoff roll, the jet struck the vehicle. The crew rejected the takeoff, and the aircraft stopped on the runway. Everyone on board got out safely. The 2 people in the vehicle had minor injuries. Canepa found that takeoff had been cleared while the runway was still occupied. The safety point is basic but critical. A runway is either confirmed clear or it is not safe to use. September 17th, 2024, Boston, Massachusetts. A Cape Air Cessna 402C had just departed Boston Logan, heading to Bar Harbor, Maine. During the climb, the pilot saw a landing gear problem and returned to Boston. Only the left main gear came down. The nose gear and right main gear stayed retracted. The aircraft landed on the left wheel first, then settled onto the runway. All 3 people on board survived without injury. There was no fire and no explosion. Investigators found that a broken hydraulic line caused the gear problem. The key point is hydraulic system reliability. If one line fails, the crew may be left with only part of the landing gear available, and the safest outcome depends on a calm return, checklist work, and a stable setup before touchdown. Summer 2021. Exact location not confirmed. An Aerolite 103 ultralight was being used for short takeoff practice hops. These were not full flights. The pilot was lifting off briefly, then setting the aircraft back down. On one attempt, the ultralight appeared to lift off too slow, with the nose too high. It climbed for a moment, then lost lift and came down hard. The aircraft was destroyed. The pilot was reported to have survived without serious injuries. No official final cause has been confirmed. But the risk is clear. In takeoff practice, getting airborne is not the goal by itself. The aircraft still needs enough airspeed to keep flying. If the nose comes up too early, a small ultralight can lose lift almost immediately. January 7th, 2026, Nuwara Eliya, Sri Lanka. A Cinnamon Air Cessna Caravan amphibian was arriving at Gregory Lake after a flight from Colombo. There were no passengers on board, only 2 pilots. During the water landing, the aircraft hit the lake hard and was damaged in the water. Nearby boats and rescue teams reached it quickly. Both pilots were pulled out alive. No fatalities were reported. The final cause has not been confirmed yet. Early information pointed to difficult wind conditions during the landing. The key point is water landing margin. Wind, sink rate, and timing all have to come together before the aircraft touches the surface. November 20th, 2017, St. Mary's County Regional Airport, Maryland. A Piper Twin Comanche returned to the airport after the pilot reported a landing gear problem. Emergency crews were waiting near the runway. The pilot circled, prepared the approach, and came in for a belly landing. The airplane was damaged, but the pilot walked away uninjured. The exact mechanical cause was not confirmed in the sources I found. The important part was the setup before touchdown. With the gear unavailable, normal braking and steering would be limited after contact, so the safety margin came from speed, alignment, runway choice, and having emergency crews ready before the aircraft touched down. August 15th, 1986, Rhein-Main Air Base, Germany. A U.S. Air Force C-5A Galaxy was dealing with a major landing gear emergency. The nose landing gear would not extend, so the crew diverted to Rhein-Main and prepared for a landing without the nose gear. There were 38 people on board. The crew's main work happened before touchdown. Approach setup, speed control, runway alignment, and keeping the nose off as long as possible. The aircraft settled onto the runway and came to a stop. No one was injured. The exact technical cause was not confirmed in the sources I found. The key point is preparation. In a nose gear failure, the safest outcome is shaped before the nose comes down. After that, normal steering and braking are limited, so the setup before contact matters most.
Here's a fire. Holy shit. That big blade. Get ready to roll, get ready to roll. Keep to this, rescue. Go ahead, rescue. Is it alright maybe when we go ahead with the crash with 1 and 2 and tone it down? Yeah, 10-4, there's a little flame in the front. I want to check it out. Well, there's maybe a lot of heat on it anyway. That's why it's better when you put some foam on it. Yeah, 10-4, go ahead and crash fire and foam down the front wheel over there.
February 27th, 2024. Honopu Beach, Kauai, Hawaii. A Jack Harder tour helicopter was flying along the north shore of Kauai. There were 5 people on board. During the flight, the pilot smelled smoke. Then came a loud pop, followed by an engine out warning. The pilot entered autorotation and aimed for the beach below. The helicopter came down on the sand and rolled onto its side. Everyone survived. 1 passenger was seriously injured. The final cause has not been confirmed yet. Investigators found damage in the drive system after the crash. The key point is reaction time. When a helicopter loses power, the pilot may only have seconds to lower the collective, keep rotor speed, and choose the safest place within reach. January 22nd, 2026, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. A Tropicair Twin Otter was flying from Tipini Airstrip to Jackson's International Airport. Shortly after takeoff, the nose wheel assembly separated from the aircraft. The crew was told what had happened and prepared for landing at Port Moresby. There were 21 people on board. The crew had to land with the nose wheel missing. After the front gear contacted the runway, normal nose wheel steering was no longer available. The aircraft came to a stop on the runway. Everyone on board survived without injury. The final reason for the gear failure is still under investigation. The key point is preparation. When landing gear damage is known before arrival, the safest outcome depends on the setup before touchdown. Runway choice, speed, alignment, and emergency crews ready before the aircraft reaches the ground. March 9th, 2025, Lititz, Pennsylvania. A Beech A36TC had just taken off from Lancaster Airport. There were 5 people on board. Right after liftoff, the cabin door opened. The pilot became distracted, and the aircraft was already losing airspeed. During the left turn back toward the airport, the airplane began to shake and lost control. It came down near a parking lot and was destroyed by crash and fire. All 5 people survived. 2 were seriously injured, and 3 had minor injuries. The NTSB found that the pilot did not maintain enough airspeed after being distracted by the open door. The aircraft was also overweight, which increased the stall risk. The key point is simple. A door problem is not the emergency to fly. The airplane is. Airspeed and control have to come first.